It's good. It's always been good. Star Wars Battlefront II is a fantastic video game. Even way back when the controversy of the launch was still going on, the reason that controversy hurt so hard is because Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a fantastic video game, and it really felt like we were living up to the expectations of the old stuff. The controversy has moved on, and the game has been left in a pretty good state, to be honest, only because somebody decided to come along and pick up the torch. That somebody being the community of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront Kyber has completely redone the legacy of Star Wars Battlefront. It has unlocked the door from what would have been something kind of abandoned and then left behind and just left all of us waiting to see if something else was ever going to come along, of which it probably will, and I will tell you why later. Now it's just this amazing community project that's just going to keep going for who knows how long. Maybe until the Star Wars Battlefront 3 actually happens. Maybe until people get bored. But for me, I'm not bored. I'm pretty happy to see that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is living on in a pretty amazing way. Star Wars Battlefront 2's modding scene used to be kind of atrocious. There was a unbelievable number of modding dependencies that you needed to try and get installed just to get some simple cosmetic mods and character mods loaded in. But now, it's just one download, 2 logins, and then you just get whatever you want and you join the server that you please. Modding for Star Wars Battlefront 2 has become so easy that it is really a night and day difference and something that actually is keeping the game alive. See, now all you have to do is just go pick a server from their giant server browser or host one yourself. Say, I want to join this one. Says, oh, you don't have these mods installed? Just click download. It installs all of those mods that you're looking for. And then the second those downloads are done, it auto installs and you join into the server, no problem. Makes it so easy. It's really no work at all on the player to actually set stuff up. I was having one hell of a time trying to play modded Star Wars Battlefront 2 pre-Kyber, and Kyber being in place, it's going to keep the thing alive for decades, most likely. There are 2 giant mod packs that most people are playing with. There is Star Wars Battlefront Expanded and Star Wars Battlefront Plus. Expanded really is we're going to throw every single thing that we think that needs to be in Star Wars Battlefront 2 into it. It's got literally every character you could possibly think of. Meanwhile, Star Wars Battlefront Plus is kind of more of a spiritual successor of Star Wars 2.5, where it's not every single thing that you would want, but it is a balanced experience where they're trying to make it, more of what the game could have been had they not stopped support for it back in 2020.
I am the best.
My only complaint with Kyber is it's not really with Kyber, honestly. It's more with the modding community. Where are the maps? How come I can't play on Mustafar or Coruscant or any of the other major classic locations that didn't make it into the game? There's plenty of locations throughout the expanded universe. Hell, you could even do some of the classic maps from the old games and just kind of texture them, re-up, and throw them in. But for some reason, a lot of that stuff is missing. And I don't know if that's because there's something with the tools to make modded maps aren't really that easy to work with, or the asset creation is much harder to do than previous games. The asset creation one, I completely believe. If you look at the fidelity of Star Wars Battlefront 2 versus the classic Star Wars Battlefront games, it's decades worth of improvements in modeling tech. It's going to be hard to make new maps. It's been a couple of years since the modding scene for Star Wars Battlefront 2 really started to take off, and I don't see a lot of them, so I'm just kind of curious what the holdup is. They did announce that there were a couple of maps that were in the works, like the legendary Jedi Temple on Coruscant. That was also a couple years back, and we haven't really heard anything, so if I got anybody's attention with this video, hey Kyber, what happened? So thanks to Kyber, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is in a thriving state. It is in a much more alive and an active community than it was previously. In 2020, we really thought it could have been the end. Nope, Kyber has come along and has kept things rolling. Star Wars Battlefront Resurgence 2025 showed anything is that there's a ton of interest in this franchise still, and people are hungry for this kind of experience. And nobody else is really catering towards it except this. We recently got some sales figures showing off what the highest selling Star Wars games of all time are, and number 1 is Star Wars Battlefront 2015, with at 3rd place, Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2017. Clearly, the community is hungry to play these things. I just don't know if anybody's listening. The real question is, what are the executives at Disney, what are they doing right now? Are they seeing these numbers? Because clearly there's an audience for this stuff. I do think that Star Wars Battlefront will come back there probably will not be a Star Wars Battlefront 3, but the series will probably get rebooted for a third time. I don't think that EA or DICE have it in them to make this game. Star Wars Battlefront 3 was pitched internally at DICE to EA executives, and they decided, no. Yeah, we don't want to do this again, which is a shame. Star Wars Battlefront 2's core mechanics and the animations, gameplay, music, sound effects, everything, that Frostbite engine that they did to make Star Wars Battlefront 2, it's fantastic. It's a great version of the game. And once again, thanks to Kyber, it's just going to continue to expand and grow into more and more and more that you can't believe. I really would still like to see DICE give that one another shot, and it doesn't look like that's coming along. If DICE isn't going to make Star Wars Battlefront, who will? Because it has to be somebody that continues to carry this torch, whether it be a new studio or not. We're getting Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 3, and that was made by a brand new studio with a bunch of legendary developers from BioWare. So if you can spin up a studio to finally make a spiritual successor to the Knights of the Old Republic series, then why can't you do the same thing for the Battlefront series? Where are the pandemic veteran devs and the veteran DICE developers that decided, you know what, I want to go make Star Wars Battlefront. Let's get that rolling. That sounds like a dream team, but I might be reaching for the stars with that one. But for the most part, the numbers don't lie. There is a group of people, huge fan base, that wants to continue to play Star Wars Battlefront. The numbers are there. It's the highest selling franchise of all time. We broke records in 2025 for player counts. We sold an insane amount of copies of Star Wars Battlefront 2 even back in May of 2025 while the resurgence was going on. So where is it? Probably in hiding, probably getting worked on, but man, it tells me that there is a hunger out there for this thing. Star Wars has been kind of experimenting with some Fortnite stuff recently. The Fortnite Star Wars experiences aren't really for me. At the end of the day, they all still look and feel like Fortnite. They don't really look and feel like Star Wars to me. If you're a fan of those game modes, have fun. I'm glad to see that you have the opportunity to be creative, but for the most part, I think that a more bespoke video game that feels like Star Wars is something that needs to be around. I don't think that those game modes are going to be a replacement for what is a huge bombastic cinematic experience. I think Fortnite is just Fortnite with a Star Wars skin, and I don't think that there's really anything else to it. But either way, Kyber's going to keep all of this stuff alive. That's the one thing that kind of keeps me moving. I'm really happy to see that the modding scene for this stuff is still thriving. Plenty of people are interested in making Star Wars Battlefront content, whether they do it for a studio or by themselves. Kyber is going to make sure that that stuff is shared, spread, gets the attention it deserves, and makes its way around. I just wish that some maps could come along. The only thing that I really, really want, and this is a huge wish list, I don't know how possible this is because the amount of overhauls and reworks it would take to get it off the ground would be monumental, but if it went down, you would make the 6-year-old in me probably cry tears of joy. Make that space-to-ground combat possible in Star Wars Battlefront II 2017 through the power of Kyber. That'd be a pretty tall order, pretty tall ask. The vehicle gameplay does not have any landing sequences built into it. You can't drop in and drop out from the vehicles. There's no enter or exit. You're just either in air or you're crashing into the ground. The flight model for the vehicles is fantastic. I always loved playing Starfighter Assault for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think they feel really good, and it's a great job. Those cockpits look fantastic, but there's just no way to park those things without the ability to land. None of those map ideas are actually going to function, but I know that there are some people out there, there has to be, that are thinking, I'm going to make this mod happen. I'm going to make it real. And look, if I can help out in any way, please let me know. But man, that would be the dream come true. Gives me the option to run along, hop in a starfighter, press the X button, take off, fly into a starship, and board that thing, and give me the Star Wars Battlefront 3 experience that everybody's been asking for, but put it in Star Wars Battlefront 2 Kyber, and that's a winning formula. So, if you've made it this far into the video, I got a couple things I got to shout out. They are trying to do another Star Wars Battlefront 2 Resurgence Day in 2026 for May the 23rd. So if you've got a copy of the game, doesn't matter what platform you're on, just hop on and play. We're going to go ahead and make the whole thing happen all over again. I don't expect the player numbers to get nearly as high as they did last time, but if you love the title and you want to play with somebody, it's not too hard to find servers if you're on console. It can be a little tricky if you're on PC, depending on where you're at. So, when everyone's saying they're going to get on, now's kind of the time to give it a shot. So what are you guys going to be doing? You still playing Kyber now? Do you still play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the side? For me, it's a game, because of Kyber, I do jump back in about once a month just to go play a couple of rounds here and there. It's just way too good of an experience to know that I can just kind of do whatever I please. The entire Star Wars galaxy has kind of been given to the player base at this point, and it just takes a couple of crazy people with some dedicated time to just make amazing stuff. But so if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.